Flying out to the Knik Glacier area is always great and different, but today is a flight to Lake George, where some local pilots on skis are gathering for a flyout. Right now I'm flying over the gorge area of the Knik Glacier where it terminates. The Knik Glacier is about 25 miles long and about 5 miles wide, and this area is actually kind of interesting. There used to be ice dams that would build up and the water behind it would gather, and then supposedly the pioneers back in the day would have a lottery on when that ice dam would break. It would be in the springtime and the water would come rushing down the Knik River and into the Knik arm of the Cook Inlet. And here you can see just how blue the glacier is. This will lead to Lake George, where the flyout is taking place. And Lake George is about 3 miles by 3.5 miles and is somewhat round lake with a peninsula sticking into it. The peninsula is called Colony Point, and the Colony Glacier empties or terminates into Lake George. And since the lake is pretty good size, what I'm doing now is just flying around to try to locate where the other aircraft have landed. Once I see them, and you can see the other aircraft off the nose of the airplane right now, I'm trying to locate where the landing area is, where the other aircraft have landed, because I know that if they've landed there, it's got to be safe for me to land. I don't want to blaze a new trail and end up possibly hitting something I can't see on the surface. I see where the other planes have landed, which is behind that row of planes, and I'm going to make a big circle and then come into land. This is on the east side of the lake, and I will be landing south. You can see that there are some big ice chunks that are frozen in place on the lake, and as I fly over them, I see them because the sun is shining through enough to cast a shadow. And I'm lining up to land on the tracks that the other aircraft have landed on, but what I don't know is how rough it's going to be. We've had some recent snows and some wind, and you can see that the drifts made this a really bumpy landing. And it was a little bumpier than I anticipated, but it was nothing that was unsafe. It was just a little uncomfortable. I'm taxiing up to the other aircraft that are in line here and making plenty of room for other aircraft. And you can see when this aircraft lands how rough it is. It was pretty consistently rough all over, so no matter where you landed, it was going to be rough. And that's because nobody comes out here and clears a landing area to make it smooth. You can see the Colony Glacier in the background, and there's actually an interesting story behind this area. Back in 1952, a C-124 Globemaster military aircraft with 52 passengers on board crashed, and they were never able to recover the debris. In 2012, the debris was seen and rediscovered at the terminus of the Colony Glacier, and since then it's become something like an archaeological event every summer, and they have a temporary flight restriction around the toe of the glacier. And the debris from that crash that occurred 14 miles up the glacier has taken nearly 60 years to travel that distance.
Hey, Geoff? Yeah. That would be amazing. They're hard to find, and Randy was talking about building
This is just a really good reason for friends to get together. They brought out the barbecue and cooked some food, and this will be the last gathering of the winter, and the summer fly-ins will start in May. That's another great shot of the Colony Glacier, and it deposits and calves some really huge chunks of ice into the water. These ice chunks will just freeze in place and make really cool ice formations. A couple years ago, there was a huge ice cave that formed in this same location. I think there was about 20 planes that came out this day. It was just a really good day to get together. The weather wasn't too bad, but the clouds made it for flat light conditions at times. I'm able to get some pretty spectacular shots with the drone. I went up on that large piece of ice to get some video, and everything was just so quiet, and the ice and the glacier were just popping, and it sounded like gunshots off in the distance, which was pretty surreal. I'm taxiing to take off in the same strip or same area that I landed on, and I'm just going the opposite direction, so I'm taking off north. There's very little wind, and I'm hitting all the same drifts that I hit when I was landing, but at least I was slowing down. This is taking off, and of course I'm accelerating and hitting them at a faster speed, but I lift off and everything was smooth, and it was a great day to fly.